Hi everyone, today I have a video on tips for sub 35 on Megaminx. I average 33 right now, so I've been sub 35 for a while, and I think my solves have changed quite a bit since the sub 40 video where I averaged 36. Just like the previous videos in this tips series, this video is going to be split into 4 parts. One for the star, one for F2L, one for S2L, and one for last layer. With that, let's get into the tips. For the star, you should continue to improve your ability to track F2L pieces while solving your star pieces, just as I mentioned in the sub 45 and the sub 40 video. I still don't think it's feasible to see a nice case in inspection for every solve, but just knowing where two matching pieces are can help, even if they're far apart. One thing that I've been doing for my stars since the last video is saying the last D move that I plan to do out loud during inspection. This helps me maintain my focus on longer sessions like averages of 50, and also helps me in comps where the nerves can sometimes make me forget some of my moves unless I emphasize them. For the F2L, most of my improvement came from using more efficient solutions. I don't have a full list of these solutions, but the basic idea for finding them is to do as few moves as possible to turn two F2L pieces into a solved pair or a 3-move insert. The goal here is to replace solutions that just simply put the F2L pieces in the U layer and then do a 3x3 solution, because those solutions usually aren't very efficient since they don't make the most out of the extra freedom that the Megaminx gives you over 3x3. Now I'm going to demonstrate some examples of these more efficient solutions. For this first one, we have the corner here and the edge here. So the normal 3x3 solution is to do U2, then R, U2, R prime, U2 prime, and insert. But this one involves a lot of U2 moves, which generally require regrips. So what you can do instead is something like R, BR, and then you have a 3-move insert here, like this. If you're not comfortable with the L moves, you can do something like R, BR, U2 like that, and then you just insert it. For this next example, you have the corner here and the edge back here. You can do a BR prime to put the edge in the U layer, and then you have a 3x3 case, but instead you can do something like a BR2 prime and then an R prime, and this will give you a 3-move insert. For this last example, we have the corner here and the edge back here. You can do a BR2 prime to bring the edge to the U layer, but then to pair them up, you would have to regrip and do something like this, which isn't very good. So there are two ways you can do this pair in a more efficient manner. The first way I think is with a BR2, and then a R2 prime, then U prime, and then you just insert the pair later. The other way is to do a BR prime and then rotate and then do an R2 to pair it up and insert it. This second one involves a rotation, which is generally not good for a pair, but if your next pairs are like purple or green or red, then you'll probably have to rotate in this direction anyways. So in that scenario, I would use this solution over the previous one. The more efficient solutions generally aren't difficult to find, but one harder part about them is using them while maintaining a smooth solve, because they usually require more complicated finger tricks. Another challenge is recognizing what moves you need to do to pair up pieces efficiently during a solve. It's doable to get sub 35 without these changes by compensating with faster turning, but I think this leads to more choppy solves that I think are harder to translate to competition solving. Here are two more examples of my newer F2L solutions. I didn't include these with the previous 3 because these use F moves, which made them a little bit harder to find than the ones with R moves and BR moves. So for this first one, you have the blue corner here, blue yellow, and the edge here. So to pair these up, I would do something like F, R, F prime, and I just insert it to the left. For this case, this one, so here you have a blue-red edge and blue-red corner. This one's pretty similar. I guess it's kind of like a mirror or something of the previous case. And for this, you would do F, R, F prime, and then insert the pair like this. Regarding move counts, I think my newer solutions, which mainly use R, F, U, and BR moves, have 3 to 4 moves when the two F2L pieces are separated, and 4 to 5 moves when they're attached. The optimal solution for these pairs could be lower, since I haven't really considered L or BL moves very much, but it seems unlikely that these solutions would work better since switching hands can break the flow in a solve. For S2L, I don't think I changed very much. My improvement mostly came from better look ahead and slightly faster turning, but those came from doing a lot of solves instead of any specific techniques. You can try to use the same idea of more efficient solutions like in F2L, but the extra solved pieces can get in the way to the point where you just end up doing the 3x3 solution. One thing you can continue to do is insert pairs with the F move solution from the sub 40 video, which goes like this for this blue purple, like that. But this isn't really something I do for every single case, since sometimes I think the sledgehammer solution is better. One way to improve S2L is through color neutrality, but I tried switching in the past and I didn't really get anywhere with it. I don't plan to switch in the future, as I think it's a lot of work for a potential good first S2L, which I don't really know how to utilize since I don't have a very good way of judging which S2L face is best in the super short amount of time between F2L and S2L. One possible alternative is doing S2L in the opposite direction, so that would be clockwise instead of counterclockwise, but this still requires choosing an S2L order within a split second during a solve, and I don't really have a way of doing that. For last layer, I would recommend learning around 120 PLOs, which is up to video 17 in my PLO series. I mentioned 120 PLOs in the sub 40 video, but I realize now that Megaminx hardware has improved a lot to the point where you don't really need that many for sub 40. I still think you want this much for sub 35 though, as switching can save around 8 to 9 moves per AUG for over 2/3 of the AUGs, which is a pretty big difference. It's probably not less necessary to learn every single PLO, but I think it's a good idea to learn a lot, so you alternate less between a 2-look PLO mindset and a 1-look PLO mindset. One thing for PLO that you should try to get used to is knowing how to recognize cases without using AUFs to align edges. This consists of knowing which color is 2 faces away or 3 faces away based on the standard pink, cream, blue, orange, green order. This is useful for cases with big blocks that can be recognized before AUS like these two. So for both of these, you have the 2x2 block in the bottom left and the extra corner on the left side. Same here. And for this case, this first color is blue, this next color is orange, and then this third color is pink, which is 2 faces away from orange when going clockwise. Here, the first color is green, and the next color is pink, but the next color is orange, which is 3 faces away from pink clockwise. So since I know the order pretty well, I don't have to do an AUF to tell the difference between these two cases, which saves like a decent amount of time in a solve. For OLL, I would recommend learning all of the 3-edge and 5-edge cases, which totals to around 180 AUGs. This is higher than the PLO number, but in my opinion, I think the OLLs are easier to learn than the PLOs, since their recognition relies on shapes rather than specific orderings of colors. The 5-corner cases are harder to recognize than the other OLLs, but I still think it's a good idea to learn them, so you don't have to switch between doing 2-look and 1-look OLL. That's it for the tips for the 4 sections of the Megaminx solve. I think some explanations like the F2L efficiency part might be a little bit confusing, but if you have any questions about that, leave them in the description and I'll be able to get back to you with some more specific advice. Aside from that, thanks for watching and see you in the next video.